Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, sit back, relax, but before you do, go to the kitchen and get a glass of lemonade, of course, because the tea ain't never been this good.
Alright, Lemonhead, so today's video is very, very different from what we usually do. Usually it's always lighthearted and comedic, but there's a serious problem that's going on. Mental illness in every community is a big problem, but in the Black community, it's something that we seriously need to talk about and seriously need to tackle. So today I have three lovely people who are going to go and dive deep, and they're going to talk about some of their own challenges that they face, also while giving advice to you. So it's a little bit of different lemonade. I like to call this segment Bitter Lemons. Let's get started. Question number one, have you ever struggled with mental illness?
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely.
Two, if you feel comfortable, could you kind of graze the surface of details?
Me personally,
Yeah.
my biggest, toughest mental illness probably I went through probably my daddy died. Yeah. That was, a hard moment for me. So, not trying to get too deep on it, but, it sent me into a very depressed, dark moment.
As far as myself, I would say the main ones that I deal with are depression and anxiety. And a lot of people don't really understand what anxiety is. It can really take over your life if you don't do something about it.
Yeah. I definitely struggled with anger issues as a younger kid. Kind of evolving into my environment, that kind of put a lot of mental illness on me. I wasn't always the fit-in type, so that kind of led to me becoming the person who I was, and I had to walk into myself in order to be myself, So that's...
Thank you all for opening up even a little bit. Like, I don't think people realize how hard it is to even say, I struggle with mental illness, because everyone looks at it and is like, oh, mental illness, something wrong with you. But no, there's so many people who suffer in silence. So thank you all for even opening up that much. Question number three, why do you feel like mental illness is such a problem in the Black community?
I feel like it's coming from, it dates back like slavery. I feel like you got to think about how the generations have to evolve. So with us coming up our parents was that much closer to slavery. We're that much further away. So they're not able to understand how we can and comprehend and be so lenient and, So I just feel like it's sometimes we brought up around it. It's a lifestyle at this point.
And just to kind of piggyback off that, I agree. Definitely. Breaking the chains has been one of the main things that's held a lot of Black people in the community from becoming them true selves and evolving into the person who they're supposed to become. You get caught up in the environment, you get caught up in things that's not meant for you, and it throws you off the path. So that leaves a lot of chains on the brain.
Yeah. I'm also going to feed off that a little bit. Generational trauma is a real thing. You can carry trauma from stuff that is happening in your families. From the easiest example is like police brutality. When I look at those videos on Facebook, it gives me anxiety. That's a form of generational trauma. People before me have gone through it. The civil rights movement, before that, you can carry that in your DNA. And then the other thing that caused it to be such a huge issue is religion. A lot of people think that you can pray it away, or they think that it's against God to get help, and that just perpetuates the issue.
Yeah, for me personally, I think one of the biggest reasons why it's just such a barrier is because we don't talk about it.
Right.
Like, honestly, on my YouTube channel, I wouldn't be shocked if this video doesn't do as well as others. Even though I'm a beginner YouTuber and it's not like I'm getting a lot of views anyway. But people don't want to hear this. People don't want to acknowledge it. And a lot of people are so uneducated. So they think, oh, I just feel like I'm having a bad day. And then they don't realize that your bad day has turned into bad weeks, bad months, bad years. And before you know it, you're living a life of depression.
Right.
And a lot of people don't talk about it. They don't want to educate themselves. And I feel like that's what's really holding us back. Number 4, would you ever consider going to seek medical or professional help?
No, definitely not. I feel like it's one of the things Some people may have to, depending on the strength level, what carries within them. But I feel like it's one of the things you should be able to overcome. If you look around yourself and you seek out your environment and you seek out what you find the problem, it's ways you can attack that. So medical help, it can pretty much bring more stuff on you if you're not aware of the person you are. So it's like awakening to your true source self, and that kind of heals within the inside.
Yeah, any comments?
I mean, I kind of want to like piggyback off of that because I kind of agree with that. I wouldn't get no medical help. I probably wouldn't too much talk to nobody about it, like no professional. I would talk to somebody who I'm more comfortable with, like a more personal friend maybe. I wouldn't seek no medical help.
Jazz?
I actually have been to therapy and I've taken medication. I tried to do it the way you guys are saying, but that just didn't work for me.
Right.
And talking to my family, I mean, that's hard because a lot of times your family doesn't understand. So speaking to a therapist who has some knowledge about, okay, I know logically why she's doing this or why this is happening, that helped me to understand, and that also helped me to stop some of the self-destructive things that I was doing.
I definitely understand where Jazz comes from. I personally have never tried to take medicine. I tried to talk to somebody, but that was just, for me personally, I didn't click with the person. But I wouldn't ever exclude the idea of it. But going back to what you said, it does kind of depend on the person. And it depends on the environment. Some people live in an environment where if you go get help, something's really, really wrong with you. And you can kind of be looked down upon for doing something like that. While in other areas, they're like, oh no, go get help, go get help. But I think that question within itself is always a personal one. I also feel like that reason alone, always trying to consider how one person feels about going to get help versus another, is one of the reasons why a lot of black people struggle, because you're so busy trying to appease to Jasmine's and you want to go get help because Jasmine's go and do that, or you're trying to appease the Champs and Chulos and you don't want to get help because they can do it on their own, you want to do it on your own. But it's always different for everybody. Next question. What do you think you could do to help the next generation not struggle as bad as we have?
I feel like giving back knowledge, wisdom, and the things that are going to carry them over to break those chains. Once you, like you said, you find the problem and you find a solution for it. And if we know mental illness is one of the things that's going on in our black communities, we have to build leaders first. We have to build people who actually been through that and that can give back on the ones like Jasmine, for example. You want to see people who been through and can relate to what you're going through, so you can actually get on the right path and find your following in life. So that's one of the things I look at myself as a mentor, and to give back to the younger generation so they can continue that chain.
Yeah.
So I always say take small steps to make a large change. What I do personally, I don't mind opening up about the things that I've been through. Other people find it embarrassing, some of the stuff that I've been through. I don't hold back. I don't have any shame about it because I know that there's plenty of other people going through the same thing and they can't tell anybody. So telling what I went through, even if my solution doesn't work for them, just knowing that somebody else has been there is a huge help to other people.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, me personally, I said to make it how, like social media, everything trend, make it cool, make it okay to talk about it. People don't think it's okay. Like they see like mental illness, like the word illness just is like they try to make it a turn off, but just like don't be scared of it, attack it.
Yeah. For me personally, I work with the youth at my church, and some Sundays I just tell them, we're not going to learn anything out of the Bible this week. We're just going to talk and just going to vent. And I think the problem is we create space for everything at school. Even from elementary, you have a time for learning, you have a time for reading, a time for math, a time for social studies. You have time to eat in the cafeteria, you have time to go outside. They never make a time, even if it's once a week, just to say, how are you feeling on the inside? I feel like the biggest problem is we're grown when we find out about what really depression and anxiety and all these other words really genuinely mean. But if we could talk about it when they're young and we could get it in their heads while they're 6, 7, and 8, they can kind of identify it themselves when they're between the ages of 10 to 15, and we can kind of save them from a lifetime of trouble.
Exactly.
Number 6, black people have an image of beauty that is not always a clear representation of what we look like. Have you ever found yourself on the outside of the black beauty standards?
Yes, definitely. and I'm sorry for answering first, but the question
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
So that goes back to my introduction when I was like, I had a problem evolving into my environment, and it caused me to stand out once I found out who I was, right? So I feel like the stuff that's, like you say, social media, the trending, most people fall into that category of wanting to be accepted, and we don't have enough people here to lead them, to show them who they already are and accept you for how you are, that make that change on up to the top. They influence others behind you, you know. So that's one of the things.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm
You
fat.
see me.
Yeah,
Period.
you see it. I was about 60 pounds heavier than this last year. I lost 60 pounds in a year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Definitely.
And then besides that, there was an image that people have, like, I've always been considered to be smart. I don't like to say it, but other people say that about me. And people thought that I was weird. Like, people wouldn't talk to me because I was smart. So that caused me to be an outsider for a while because I didn't do the same things that other people were doing when I was younger. And I still don't, you know, sometimes. Before I was fat, I was extremely skinny, like 99 pounds, walking around here looking like a lollipop.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, black people tend to like thick girls. So then I would get it on that side too.
Yeah. Fancy?
I guess I could just talk about it personal. I mean, like the neighborhood I'm from, the side I'm from, the people I hung out with. I didn't think the stuff they did cool, gangbang, smoke. That wasn't for me. And the fact that I didn't do it, you know, you ain't real, you ain't this and this and that. Like that don't make me real. I don't have to fit in for y'all to accept me. But like now it's the tables turning. Like now y'all want, you know, the tables on the other side.
Yeah. I can kind of piggyback off of what Jasmine was saying. You know, I've never been, well, I'm not going to say I've never been small. But by the time I hit 4th grade, we already knew what it was. I was going to be a big one. That was that. But I'm just weird. Like, look at my hair color. And this is not the craziest hair combination I've ever came up with. Like, I've just been different. And I've just been always so happy to be myself. But what happens is your light can be as bright as it wants to be. And people will still find a way to dim your light. Like, you can be as proud and as confident and as beautiful internally or externally as you want to believe you are. However, it becomes a matter of blocking out like the voices in your head. So everybody know I got a little more hips than most people, and that's cool. But when I was in high school, it just became a problem. Like, I was even timid on what to wear. And if you ever go back and look at my 9th grade yearbook picture, I would look like a dyke. Not even being funny. You know the picture, so it's hilarious. But it was just like, I don't know what to put on, because at one point when I went to magnet school, I was getting joned about being on the plus side. But now that I'm here, I'm getting over sexualized. I don't like either one of it. Like, let me just be me. So it kind of tempered with my identity for a little bit, but not for long. Not for long. Last question for this segment. If there's something you could tell your younger self before being affected by mental illness, what would it be?
Don't be so mad at yourself. Why you beating yourself up so much, guy? Like, learn to accept. People are not always going to accept you for who you are. And the worst thing you can do is follow that trend and beat yourself up for who you are. So you have to embrace your beauty. You know, you have to embrace yourself first. And that's one of the things I would definitely go back and tell myself. Like, I would have made a lot of different movements than I did based off how I was thinking of the world. And now that I'm connected to source myself, it makes it easier to maneuver around this matrix we're living in, because you know, it's just, you know.
I would say, I would tell myself to find out who you are. I'm 23 and I'm really just now figuring out who Jasmine is. And I feel like if I had known who I was before now, I would have made a lot of better decisions. I would have avoided certain people. I probably would have gotten to where I am now faster than it has taken me. So I've been so busy trying to please other people, whether it's family, friends, you know, school, and I haven't pleased myself.
That's it.
She basically said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
I like that.
for me, I wouldn't say that my mental illness issues came from myself, but it came from situations that I was put in. But I can say that I'm just like a lovebird. Like when I see people, I'm like, "Hi, give me a hug, nice to meet you." And that's just because of how I am. I just believe in putting in so much positivity into the universe because it's negative everywhere else. So what am I benefiting by acting like that as well? But at the same time, you know, everyone is not worth your love. Everyone is not worth your attention. Everyone is not worth your patience and your time. So if I would have anything to say to my younger self, I would say, you know, be mindful of who is even worth your effort, because everyone isn't. And sometimes your kindness can and will be taken for weakness.
That's true. Very true.
You gotta protect your energy and protect
Definitely,
yourself before you
definitely.
go trying to help other people.
Yeah. And everyone who says, you know, I need help doesn't really need help. Some people need attention. And it's not even a need, it's a want. And you feed into it because you're trying to help them, and at the end of the day, you come out worse than they ever started. And it's just really crazy. Alright guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope it helped you, and if it didn't, share it with someone and hopefully it'll help them. Right now we're going to do our favorite thing, which is always promote. Go ahead and plug yourself, champ.
Hey, I'm Champ Cuff. By the way, you can follow me on Snapchat at Champ Cuff. I'm an audio engineer. I'm an artist as well. And pretty much here to give the tea on the mental illness in the black community. Thank you for having me, Lala, by the way.
No problem. Thank you. Go ahead, Jazz.
My name is Jasmine. You can add me on Facebook at Jasmine K Jackson. Don't forget the K. And I'm an aspiring RN, and I hope to see more of you in the future.
Yeah, you know, Chulo Marley, man. Follow me on YouTube, Chulo Marley. Facebook, Chulo Marley. Snapchat, Reggie T23. IG, Chulo, with a period between each letter. C.H.U.L.O. Yeah.
Alright. And if you're looking for me, you know where you can find me. Right here on YouTube on Lala's Lemonade. I hope you enjoyed the lemonade.
Because the tea ain't never been this good.
Bye, y'all. And y'all already know, if you're looking for me, you know where to find me. Right here on Lala's Lemonade. I hope you enjoyed the lemonade.
Because the tea ain't never been this good.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm your announcer, Kevin, and we hope you enjoyed the lemonade because the tea ain't never been this good.